The Hawks, I mean, we said it kind of jokingly to begin with, but it's, today and in a month from now, this roster could look so different. Just being like, Trae Young seems like he's probably going to still be on the team. If I just had to take a guess, Dejounte, I don't know what Dejounte's market's looking like. So it's hard. Like, I think he has some market. I don't think he's like a piece no one's looking out to try to get.
What do you mean no market?
I hate to be the one to say it. Dejounte is a good player, but he's not a needle mover.
He's not a needle mover. That doesn't mean needle movers don't get traded.
Correct. What market does he have?
Needle movers have plus value, and if you're not a needle mover, you don't got plus value.
He played some pretty damn good basketball the last 2-3 months of the season.
What's Dejounte getting?
What are we identifying as having a trade market?
He's making $30 million a year
on that contract.
$30 mill's not.
You're getting expiring.
More than 3 teams would want to trade for you. Is that having a trade market?
Okay, I mean, I guess that sounds right.
That's fair.
In the grand scheme of things, because of how good the point guard position is, he's an average starter.
Who would trade for DeJounte Murray? The Spurs?
Not many teams, because you have to organize the
that's
trade
wrong.
back.
That's an all-star.
True, it's true. That's a fake all-star. Let's be real.
I don't know.
Oh, so Garland was a fake all-star too, right?
No,
your guy.
That's not how it works.
No,
Garland's a more complete player. Better
Garland
every
has
facet.
been
every facet
was
of the game.
painfully average in comparison to Dejounte.
Dejounte is also older than Darius Garland.
Darius Garland, 2022, was an elite playmaker.
He was. In 2023, he played damn good too.
Dejounte wasn't really elite.
What the hell happened this year?
I don't know if Dejounte's ever going to be an all-star.
His defense was elite.
He won't
that year.
It's
his
a lot
defense
like
was
D'Lo
elite,
in
John.
2019. Respectfully, Dejounte is a good player.
His defense wasn't elite in the year he was an all-star.
No, he was not. It fell off a cliff.
When he went to Atlanta, it fell off a cliff.
And it was not good as last year.
But in the
San Antonio.
Spurs, what are we talking about, John?
I mean, you're talking about year 2 Dejounte. They made an all-defensive team. Yeah, it was amazing. But when he got a larger role and had one of the highest usage rates in the NBA, his defense fell off a cliff, and the entire Spurs defense was not that good.
I'm just.
But let's be honest. No one really wanted to watch that Spurs team. It was maybe the most boring in basketball. So no one really talked about it.
A lot of his ascension was, of course, his offense, his ability to assist and play make, but also his defense. If I'm not mistaken, one of the league leaders in steals.
It was reputation at that point.
That was early on in his career. You could say that too. But again, that last year in San Antonio was a solid defense. When he went to Atlanta, that's when it fell.
But John, don't you also think if he goes to a place where he's not giving the offensive usage, if he doesn't need to be the lead ball handler, like we saw a lot,
his best served in that role.
No, he has to be
on a 35-win team.
Here's the thing: I think that if Dejounte went back to the Spurs, that would actually be beneficial to him in his career
because of who would he be replacing?
Of course, but they need a playmaker.
He's making too much. You're right. He's making too much money to be like just stand in the corner.
You saw when Trae Young was out.
Yeah,
the Hawks were playing some pretty good basketball.
They're average.
Okay, of course. And
Drew,
in the grand scheme
point guard
of things,
position, I don't know if he's top 15.
I don't disagree with that, actually.
So that makes you an average starting point guard if you're not top 15.
I mean, the league is very guard heavy. Because what's Garland right now?
Average.
He's top 15.
17?
After an awful year like he just had, he's still top 15.
Because funny, because LaMelo Ball might not be top 10, and LaMelo Ball clears Darius Garland.
Yeah, I don't know if Garland's fifth.
It's like a golden age for the position, but like
right. So if Garland is an average,
Garland's above average.
Jesus, both of my devices are on.
Lock in.
If Garland is an average, right?
Here we go.
Garland is not average.
Right. If you can say that about Garland, I can say that about Dejounte.
Listen, after the season he just had, you can't really defend Darius Garland much.
Yeah, change of scenery and some health. He broke his jaw.
No,
in the middle of the season.
No, that's huge. I'm not going to dismiss that. That's huge.
And also playing off Donovan Mitchell doesn't maximize his skill set either. I think he's best served as a lead guard, and that's not what he has.
So you're saying that, I guess, above average guard can't play alongside a star / superstar at moments in the playoffs. You're telling me, right? Like, I mean, if you're an above average player, you should be able to at least coincide with another star. All I'm saying is, if you're gonna disrespect Dejounte, then at the same time keep that same energy for Darius.
This is a Dejounte conversation. It's not a Darius conversation.
No, I understand. I made it a Darius.
You did make a Darius conversation.
I understand that.
So the question was,
I understood that you would keep that energy with Darius Garland. So that's why I say
have a trade market.
Darius Garland definitely has a bigger trade market than Dejounte Murray. If we want
he's
to
also
make
years
that
younger, making the same amount of money roughly.
But he's due for an extension, is he not?
Garland. He just re-upped.
He got paid. Okay,
he did just get paid.
What's he getting paid?
Good amount, over 30 easily.
Let me ask you a question.
Is he getting paid more than Dejounte?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, wow.
Let me double check.
No, he got the richest contract in Cavs history.
Oh yeah, 197, 5 years.
Let me ask you a question. If you're the Orlando Magic, would you rather surround Paolo and Franz with Dejounte or with Garland?
Easy. We were talking about this before the show. Easily Garland.
Darius Garland with 5 years, 200 mil.
That.
How do you think that contract will age?
Just fine when he gets moved. I'm expecting it to be true.
Believe it or not, I'm going with Dejounte. Because again, you add to that defensive prowess, and on top of it, now you get playmaking with Dejounte and someone that
the
can
Hawks
also.
defense is dog shit.
Exactly, but that's not talking about. The Hawks defense is dog shit, but is the Magic's? No. When you have other players that play defense, it obviously motivates you to also coincide and play some defense.
But they don't need more defense.
You don't. Agree.
And
Dejounte this season was not a bad shooter.
He's not
He shot 36.
Of course
we're having a mid-off right now with all due respect to these two players.
Who's the better shooter, Garland
This is the Big Side Podcast. We talk about mid when we need to.
Who's the better shooter?
Of course Darius
Who's
Garland.
the better off-ball player? Don't think about it. Don't do this. Please.
Darius Garland, was he great off-ball this season? The answer is no.
Well, last year he averaged 22 and 8, I believe.
And we're talking about this past season. This past season, Dejounte was the better player, very easily.
But that doesn't mean he's a better off-ball player, though.
Better live action creator,
but
better ball handler,
this
better
season,
playmaker.
we saw the Cavaliers play their
Darius
best
Garland.
basketball when Darius Garland wasn't on the court.
Yes. Okay.
Right? Isn't that funny?
I mean, that's not necessarily Garland. It's kind of optimizing.
It's just
Donovan
it's so
Mitchell.
much more easier to build your team
But
around
you put Garland
Donovan,
in a
obviously.
situation where he's the lead guard. I'm pretty confident he'd be a step above.
I mean, when we saw him as the lead guard, they missed the playoffs.
Yes, because they're battered.
They were
by
young,
injuries.
of course.
No,
It's the second year
they
of a
were a
rebuild.
40-plus win team that was battered by injuries and had no one else who could create.
Yeah.
No one else that can create. They acquired Karis LeVert midseason. That was the only person that could dribble.
Garland-
And he's the most inconsistent six man in the NBA.
At his best was 25 and 10 every night, post All-Star
Basically.
game in 2020.
Almost damn near. He averaged
2022.
22 and
Yeah.
8 assists on pretty solid efficiency, above average slightly.
I think around Paolo and Franz, Garland fits better. I
Amazing.
think for the
Thank you.
Spurs, you could make an argument for Dejounte.
I think so too. I also still feel confident that with the Magic, I still would lean Dejounte Murray because one of those nights where, again, if the matchup is not as favorable for a Franz or a Paolo, Dejounte Murray has shown that he still is able and capable to get a bucket himself. And obviously, when it comes to playmaking, he's a solid playmaker. And we've seen his defense be at a very high level. You put him in a system that is already, but that's also in a team with the Atlanta Hawks that is one of the worst defenses we have in this league.
Garland's offense needs to be really damn good to make up for his defense.
Correct.
I mean, Dejounte wasn't a good defender this past year, like John mentioned. He hasn't been for the last few years.
And I agree with that.
At least, I mean, Garland just, I think, partially is an effort issue, partially is a size issue, partially I just don't think he has the kind of defensive prowess that you'd see from other players who, guys that just have more tenacity and just more kind of physical fight than him. So if he's going to be a pretty negative, a negative on defense and he's going to get picked on, then his offense needs to be really damn good. So he needs to go to the perfect spot. Listen, if you're talking about the Pelicans, where you got Herb Jones, you got Trey Murphy, you got some dudes, you go to the Magic, where you got Jalen Suggs and a bunch of good defenders, then it works. But I also don't know if I'm, if my big move is to go get Darius Garland to be the needle mover. I don't know if he's a needle mover either for either of these teams.
Would the Pelicans rather surround Zion?
Career high in steals his last year as a Spur, by the way.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, just making sure. Oh, it doesn't matter.
No.
Harden led the
James
league in
Harden.
Steals
steals.
are not an objective way
Active
to measure
hands.
defensive.
First of
His
all,
second
active
lowest
hands.
defensive rating as a Spurs
don't
was
give a
his
shit.
second. Okay, so
sorry.
stats
You
don't matter.
think? Wait, hold up. You think he was
Defensive
a
rating for a
bad
player.
defender with the Spurs?
Dejounte?
His last year.
Depends. His last couple of
His
years.
last,
his
no,
last-
his last year as a Spurs.
2022? Yeah,
His
he
last
started to
year.
fall off. His effort. I mean, that's
No, it
'cause
fell
the-
off, but it was
that's-
good still. It wasn't bad.
average. It was
It-
fine.
No,
He
I
wasn't
think it was good.
He wasn't hurting their
No,
defense.
he was making
but it
plays
wasn't
that year
positive.
defensively and
Good
winning games for
defensive
them.
playmaker, but not the best effort.
You
creator.
can
he
knock
was
his
awesome that
knock
year.
his
Navigation.
offense his
He was
second
alright.
his last year as a Spur because it was due to a lot of opportunity. If there was something you would knock, it's because he had an unbelievable amount of volume. Knock his offense. When it
just
comes to
wish-
Spurs, you should not talk about his defense. The main reason everyone was gassed up about him going to Atlanta was
And
being
they
that
weren't. No one was watching him in San Antonio
because of
last
him
year.
being
last
a
2 years.
But he was an all-star that year. People
A
were keeping.
replacement all-star in a year. A lot of point guards.
So
injured.
was
And we're
Garland.
spending
You
way
can't
too
forget
much
about
time
that.
on a mid player. I don't know why we spent the last 12 minutes talking about Dejounte.
You will,
Let's
you,
move on
you
to
will,
pick two.
you will go
Move
to
on
bat.
pick two.
You will go to
Please.
bat
I'm
for
done.
a mid player
I'm
in
done.
Darius Garland.
You love the mid players. I can't
do.
it. Tobias Harris, RJ Barrett. I can't.
Who likes
do it.
Tobias Harris?
You probably
Star
do.
J. Barrett, that's a legend in the streets. He's playing
yeah.
amazing basketball
One of the
in
biggest
Toronto.
what-ifs in NBA history.
I'm just saying,
Pick
John, keep
two.
the same
Pick
energy.
two. I'm
That's
done
all
with
I'm going to
this.
say with you.
I'm done.
So
All
you
right.
think in the next 4 years, who will be more valuable, Garland or Dejounte Murray?
I'm just gonna say Dejounte.
If it's not Garland, it's actually a pretty big testament on him. The answer should be Garland.
Well, it shouldn't because you think Dejounte is
shit.
that nice.
I think going next year, yeah, I would
do you
probably
think,
lean
all
with
right,
Dejounte.
to end this Dejounte discussion, do you think he's a needle mover?
You didn't want him on the Lakers.
I would say that.
Then
I
why
didn't
were the
want him
Hawks
because
a
D'Lo was
36
playing
win
decent
team?
ball at that time.
So you'd rather have D'Lo than Dejounte.
Last season, yeah, I would have. But at this point, yeah, I feel like I would rather Dejounte, unfortunately.
So you would? I think D'Lo has zero trade market, even if he got like.
I think I would argue that. Yeah, I would agree with that.
So
too.
if you would rather have D'Lo than over Dejounte, how does Dejounte?
No, but that was at that point in time of the season when he was playing well.
This is
Can I give you my
too
opinion
long
on who I
discussion.
think the Wizards should take a pick to?
Yeah, I love to hear it.
Okay, we're done.
Oh yeah.
Hold on,
Awesome. Good.
I got one more question. I didn't get it off.
I tried. Go ahead.
Who's a better co-star next to Zion, Dejounte or Darius Garland?
I'd probably pick Garland for the shooting.
Garland easily. He's way more scalable because of that shooting in transition, off the catch, off pull-ups, and then the live action creation is just on a higher level.
Man, you're
All
really
the stuff
talking
he does in
very
the
highly
paint.
of a guy who was super.
But
super
Dejounte
mid.
shot better from mid-ranges last year. He's a good
He was.
mid-range creator.
He
He
was
was
a
not
very
a
good
not a
offensive
carer of
I don't
injuries
think-
much
What's up?
because the jaw injury is serious.
Say that one more time.
His jaw injury was serious. It affected his play a lot.
back.
He was playing poorly
so
before,
long.
but
No, but there was
He
a
was not that good. You're right, John.
to start,
You're right. He was
in a
not
shooting-
that good.
It was a shooting slump, though. Something you could work through early.
He was not
we
that
see
good
A lot
to
of
start the
players.
season
We see a
either.
lot of players the first month and a half need some
And
time
honestly,
to break
John,
in.
it's so perfect you say that too, because if you're going to be scared to drive the basketball, shit, you better be great at jump shooting.
well,
the jaw
a lot of
injury
time-
affected his strength.
I'm not gonna lie, I saw Al Horford lock him up this past
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
And if that's the fucking
Little bit.
case,
4-17
I don't want
is
to hear
not good.
conversations about Darius Garland.
A lot of the time,
Dejounte
if you're,
was
taking,
giving us
if you're
buckets.
taking away a player's drive game and that ability to get downhill,
Yeah, how good
to
did
where they can
Dejounte
only
look last
shoot the
year against
three.
you guys?
Oh, yeah,
Then
I was
they're
saying this
relying
past
too
year. I
much
mean,
on
he
their
took him
jump
40
shot,
shots,
and
but he
that
had
can
half
compound
court
their
drives.
struggles. Exactly, that can compound their
50, whatever he
struggles.
had.
Well, Darius Garland, when he got his jaw
Snowball
injury, he had to eat from a tube with his
Yeah,
jaw
that's crazy.
clenched.
That's what happens
That's
when you
tough.
break your jaw. I know.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, he didn't have his same strength that affected his driving ability.
I just
mean,
think he
it
played
affected
too
his
fast. He wasn't comfortable. Like he was too nervous, afraid of getting hit. all the
We
time.
say this all the time. He always gets hit. I think he got hit every single game in this Boston
He's
series
so
in the
quick.
face.
I think
what it
that's
is?
part of it.
Who said he was at elbow level? Was you said, or was
What?
there, that he's just at elbow level?
That wasn't not me.
No,
But
someone
that's.
said
I
that.
wish
He
I
caught
said
by
it.
strays 24/7.
I wish I said that.
Maybe I saw it on Twitter. I don't know.
Dallas, what was your number 2 overall?
My number. Okay, so number
Please.
2.
Well, let's just recap because we got sidetracked. with this
Recap the
conversation.
One
first pick.
So
Yeah.